Hello, if you are watching this video, it means that you survived the first week of my class. Congratulations. I took all of the posts from the Hacking Tools #1 discussion board and put them into a word cloud. And if you're not familiar, what a word cloud does is that it takes the frequency of a word, and so if you have the word repeated over and over again, it gets bigger than some of the other words. So just looking at the word cloud from the Hacking Tools #1 discussion board, it looks like you guys are getting the point here. So if you look at the word cloud here, we have theme, imagery, mood, right, plot. These are all hacking tools for the genre of a personal narrative. And you guys started picking out these hacking tools in the Judith Newman piece. So this is Judith Newman and her son. This is the first piece that we read, our first example in the genre of a personal narrative, right? And our digital literacy narrative that you'll be writing, the blog you'll be writing, will be very much in that same genre. So this is what we're doing. We're taking examples of the genre that you'll be writing in, and we're breaking them apart to see how they're constructed. And we're doing that with the hacking tools, or as I mentioned at the beginning of the end of my last video, what the book calls craft features. So if you're a little confused about this hacking tools term, think of it as craft features. The reason that I'm using the hacking tools term, though, is so that we can use it for the next genre when we think about the fundamental building blocks of the next genre. So we're going to read a couple more examples next week of a personal narrative. And we're going to do the same thing that we did with the Judith Newman piece in looking at those building blocks, looking at those hacking tools that the authors used to build it. The next reading we'll be doing is called In the Beginning Was the Command Line by Neal Stephenson. Now, Neal Stephenson is popular for being one of the founders of a genre called cyberpunk, which is a type of science fiction. But what we'll be reading is more of a memoir of him and his interaction with computers. So it's a very short piece, but I think a very interesting piece, because he explains how he not only approaches operating systems, but how he dealt with older computers. We'll also be reading a piece by one of my colleagues, Alexandria Lockett, called I Am Not a Computer Programmer. In this piece, Lockett talks about how she kind of stumbles on to the operating system Linux and then realizes there's so much more potential there. And this is just another example of that personal narrative, just like Judith Newman's piece, just like the Neal Stephenson piece you will read. You'll also take very short quizzes on both of these. These are just like the Newman piece, these are very simple quizzes, reading comprehension stuff. If you read the text, you're going to be able to answer them just fine. I also want you guys to read a piece by Lee Gutkind that introduce a couple more hacking tools, right, or craft features, or elements of a personal narrative. This piece deals with detail and description, and it goes more in depth about how you add detail and description in a narrative. So these are two more hacking tools you can use in your analysis of Alex Lockett's I Am Not a Computer Programmer and Neal Stephenson's In the Beginning Was the Command Line, but they're also tools that you can use when we start constructing your own digital literacy narratives or digital literacy narrative blogs. So one thing that I did want to mention, just so it's not confusing, I want to let you guys know when I read the post and when I put up grades. So usually you have stuff due on Wednesdays and on Saturdays. So what I'll usually do on Thursdays is read your post, put up your grades, and then do the same thing on Sundays. But what I also do, if a discussion board isn't completed, meaning if people haven't posted but also responded to other people's posts, then I won't read it and grade it yet. So the reason that your free write number 1 is not graded is because you haven't had the chance to respond to those other posts, and so I will do that on Sunday. You might also be a little confused as to why we're doing this as a blog and what does this all have to do with blogging. Well, some of you did think that you had to have a blog done already, and that is not the case. We are working slowly in building up this blog. We're pre-blogging, if you will. And I'm calling this a blog because I think that, well, all of the examples that we read, although they aren't technically blogs, they were all created to be disseminated on computers and digital media. So I think that they're really fantastic examples of the possibility of blogs. But don't worry, we're going to take slow steps into building this blog. It's not going to be, the free writes are just to get all the information out. We're going to take very careful steps to craft this blog carefully with the hacking tools that we learn from examining the examples of this genre. Another thing that I want to mention is past due work. Now, if you don't get something due turned in on time, it is past due. And while I don't give you credit, full credit for it, I certainly suggest, even if you have late work, go ahead and do it and get caught up. What will happen is, at the end of the semester, I'll go ahead and tally that up and give you some type of partial credit for your late work. Now, that won't count during the semester, but at the end it will count. So it's certainly worth doing late work, as long as it doesn't put you behind in the work you're currently doing. Okay, well, please let me know through Messenger, through email, or through just giving me a call what questions you have or any concerns, and I hope to see you all online soon.